I've met a lot of people who've moved to the Sebastopol area, and within 6 months of living here, they realize, I like Sebastopol, but I actually live in the wrong part of it. And I don't want that to happen to you. If you're thinking about moving to Sebastopol or the greater Sebastopol area, then this video is for you because I'll be going into the various areas in the surrounding townships around Sebastopol in the greater West County area. I'll be giving you microclimate information and information on lifestyle and just the types of housing you'll find in those areas. And I think by the end of the video, you'll have a much better idea of which part of the greater Sebastopol area is for you. I'm Stephanie Johnson. I'm a real estate agent and I've been one for more than 20 years now. And I relocated from San Francisco to Sonoma County in 2021 and I really haven't looked back. I love living here and now I've made it my mission to help people like you who might be considering a move from a more urban area like the Bay Area or beyond to somewhere slower like Sonoma County. And I think this video should be helpful, so let's get into it. So if you've begun maybe a search online for a home in Sebastopol, and maybe you're on Redfin or Zillow or one of the other general portals, and you type in Sebastopol home for sale, you're not just actually going to see homes that are in the town of Sebastopol. Sebastopol itself, the actual Sebastopol proper, is a very small town. It's about 7,500 people, but that's not actually everything that you're seeing. What you're going to get on Redfin or Zillow when you type in that search criteria is homes that are for sale in the greater Sebastopol region. And so today I'm going to go into detail on those regions because they have a much different vibe. And we'll start with the first region, which is to the northwest of Sebastopol, and it's called Graton. Graton is a tiny little town. It's a tiny little community. It's got one little commercial strip that's just 2 or 3 blocks long, and it's really, really charming. And it's characterized by a little bit warmer climate. It's actually usually a few degrees warmer in Graton than it is in downtown Sebastopol on a given sort of summer day. It also doesn't have that sort of marine layer intensity that you'd get in like south of Sebastopol or in another area closer to the ocean. Graton has a little bit more heat. So you'll see more vineyards, for instance, concentrated in that part of this area. The town of Graton itself is super charming, and it has a couple of real restaurant gems. One of those is Underwood Bar, which is a bar and restaurant. It's kind of got an old school vibe. The bar is at Old Wood. It's a really warm, sort of cozy place to go and have a cocktail or a beautiful meal. They serve delicious food. And right across the street is this place called Wildwood. And Wildwood is a wonderful place to go for brunch or lunch on the weekday or on a weekend especially. They have a really nice patio. And so if you live in the surrounding areas right close to Graton, those places you're probably gonna frequent quite a bit. There are also a high concentration of tasting rooms in Graton for various wineries that are local to this area. As far as real estate is concerned, Graton is characterized, number one, by a very severe lack of inventory. It is a really small region. And there are certainly properties that surround Graton, but the town itself is, you'll blink and you miss it. So, last 6 months, I think we've had 6 or 8 properties for sale in that area. So it's not a high concentration of turnover, but it's very prized. And so if you see a property for sale in Graton and it looks appealing to you, and this description of Graton and the weather sounds good to you, then I would say definitely check it out. So the next region we'll look at is Forestville. Now, in MLS, if you do a search for Sebastopol, you probably won't get all the homes in Forestville. You will get some to the south of Forestville, but you won't get all of them because Forestville is actually pretty far north. It's further north than Graton. And I consider Forestville kind of the gateway to the Russian River because it's really close to Guerneville, Monterey, those areas that line the river where you're going to have more of a kayaking, swimming, beach-going river energy to your lifestyle there. Forestville is also a little small town. The weather is quite warm, so you aren't going to get as much marine layer there as you would in other parts of this region. So you're going to have a little more heat in the summer, which if that's your vibe, then I suggest Forestville be on your list of places you check out. Standbys in terms of restaurants and places you're going to kind of hang out a lot is Sonoma Pizza Company. For real, this place is an amazing pizza restaurant. My kids love it. We make the journey to Forestville from south of Sebastopol where we live with some frequency because they love that place so much. So it's a great restaurant. There's also Roaster's Espresso Bar, which I think if you live in that area, you're gonna kind of frequent. So that's a place that's worth knowing about. There's also Nightingale Breads, which is a wonderful bakery. They make heirloom breads and they also make pastries. definitely could become an addiction if you live too close to that place. The other cool thing about Forestville is that's the northernmost point of the West County Regional Trail System. And I've talked about this in other videos, but it's a rails to trails program that they converted old rail lines to walking trails, and it's mostly away from the road, and mostly, I think 90% of it, if not more, is all paved. And so you can start in Forestville and you can ride a bike or walk all the way into Graton and all the way down into Sebastopol. And if you're really ambitious, you can keep going all the way into Santa Rosa. Forestville is on the affordable side. And so if some heat, proximity to the Russian River, and affordability are things that you're looking for, I would say that's an area you should focus on. So the third area I'll tell you about in this region is Occidental. And this is really a little township that's just to the west of Sebastopol, and it's quite a bit cooler. You've got a lot more marine layer, overcast and drippy weather than you will if you're in the eastern part of this region. And so, if you want some fireplace vibes, you wanna have your house in the woods, you wanna have access to redwood groves and hiking through them, then Occidental may be your place to live. So if this is appealing to you, then you're gonna love the little town of Occidental because it is really, really adorable. It has some beautiful shopping. It has a really wonderful cafe called Howard Station Cafe, which in my opinion is kind of the cornerstone of Occidental. And one of the reasons I'm there a lot is we just love this cafe. It's got a great breakfast program, wonderful lunch, and great coffee. And it's just kind of a destination in Occidental. In addition, on that commercial strip, which is a few blocks long, you'll find the Altamont General Store, which is just a special culinary destination, and it has kind of everything you could imagine, wonderful food. And behind the Altamont General Store is a pottery studio called Clay Folk that I've taken classes at. And if you fancy yourself a creative, artistic person and you want to live a woodsy, creative life, then you might find yourself hanging out at Clay Folk. The other cool thing about Occidental is you are really close to a lot of hiking and just sort of redwood forest. And so if that is something that's really important to you, then Occidental may be the best place in this greater region for you to land. I will say if you're sensitive to weather and you don't like overcast weather, you're not a big proponent of fog, then I would say maybe stay away from Occidental because I don't think it will make you very happy if that's something that bothers you. As far as real estate prices go, Occidental tends to be a little more affordable than Sebastopol proper. And I think that's mostly because of access. It's a lot farther from the 101 freeway. And so if you're going there for a second home, for instance, or you just live there and you need access to amenities, you have to drive a little further and the roads are not straight. These are windy, sort of foresty roads. And so I think that's one reason. And I think the other reason is the weather. It is cooler, it's wetter more of the year, and it's overcast more of the year. And I think that that does play into real estate prices. So next up is Bodega. And this is a cute, charming, again, small micro town that is sort of on the way to the Sonoma coast. Bodega has, a church that you're going to recognize right away because it's famous for being in Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. So it has this iconic image in this tiny little town. But beyond that, it's just a charming town with just the bare bones amenities, but they're all pretty great. There's a coffee shop, Colleen's, which is a super local hangout. It's very great coffee. It's a charming little space. I think if you lived close to Bodega, that would be a place you'd probably hang out quite a bit. Casino Bar and Grill is a surprise. It's a divey bar with pool tables and a full bar, but it has a surprisingly good food program and it's constantly changing the menu. And so I think that's a place that's really a fun destination, whether you live in Bodega or not. But I think if you live there, you'll be hanging out at Casino, maybe too much. Also in Bodega is a pretty cool surf shop. It's called the Northern Lights Surf Shop. They teach lessons out of that shop. So if you're somebody who aspires to learn how to surf or boogie board, you can take lessons from those folks. They also will gear you up with everything that you need to start your new hobby on the Sonoma coast. Climate-wise, Bodega is cooler. It's close to the ocean. It does have quite a bit of marine layer, but it's also windier than, say, Occidental. And you'll notice the landscape itself has far fewer trees, and that's because it's more windswept and it's much more coastal. So the more you leave Occidental and head west to the coast, through Bodega, you're going to see more ranch land. You're going to see more pasture land, and the real estate is going to be sort of bigger lots that are maybe rolling hills and maybe not nearly as wooded as maybe Occidental would be. Again, price-wise in Bodega, you're going to see cheaper prices than you would in Sebastopol proper. I mean, the theme here is Living right in the town of Sebastopol, you're going to pay the highest prices in West County. And as you leave Sebastopol going northwest along 116, prices start to drop off a bit. And as you move to the west out towards Occidental, Bodega, and to the coast, prices get cheaper as well. So depending on what kind of lifestyle you like and your price point, you can kind of mix and match and figure out where exactly you should land. So the next area we'll talk about is Freestone. And this is really, I've said it a couple times, but for sure, if you blink, you will miss Freestone. It is a tiny little non-town town. There isn't even really a commercial strip, but there are a few key businesses that are located in Freestone that I think you should know about. One is Osmosis Day Spa, which is really a gem in the whole of West County. It's a destination spa. They do a Japanese style cedar bath where you sit in cedar shavings that are fermenting, and it's antimicrobial and it's also antioxidant. It's a wonderful treatment, and they have a full spa menu there and a beautiful Zen garden. So if you're into spying and just being in the woods, I think Osmosis is a great place to know about and maybe be close to if that's your thing. In addition, there's a great bakery that is only open from Friday to Monday. It's called Wildflower Bakery. Every time you drive by there is a line out the door and around to the parking lot. I mean, it is really in demand. They make beautiful breads, pastries. They have a wonderful coffee program. They even make gluten-free pastries, at least a handful. And so it's a wonderful place to stop on your way while you're checking out these regions. For sure, stop at Wildflower. Because Freestone sits at the intersection between the Bodega Highway, which runs from Sebastopol all the way out to Bodega Bay, right? It's this sort of coastal corridor, and the Bohemian Highway, which travels northwest into Occidental and up toward Jenner. You're really well positioned to explore all of the super western part of this county. And I think, if you're in Freestone, you're really gonna have a rural lifestyle. I mean, there isn't really a town center to speak of much at all. And so if that is what you're looking for, to get away from it all, you wanna have good access to the coast, you wanna have good access to Sebastopol when you need a little people and a little vibrancy, and you need good access to Occidental and the woods, I think, Freestone could be a great place to look. Real estate, again, not a lot of inventory in Freestone, but I think just like you would in the town of Bodega, you're gonna get more for your money in this part of the world than you are in Sebastopol proper. And your lifestyle in Freestone is gonna be very rural. It's very solitary and it's very beautiful. The weather is also more coastal influence. You're juxtaposed between Bodega and Occidental. And so, you're gonna get a lot of marine layer and a lot of cool mornings and a lot of sort of drippy winters. But if that's your jam, then Freestone could be a really great place to land. And last but not least is Valley Ford, which is another small little hamlet that is located right on Highway 1. It's also sort of in that gateway to the Sonoma Coast region. And it's really not that far from both Bodega and from Freestone. So, you're in a sort of similar region. Although small, like these other two towns, it has maybe a little more of a culinary punch. And that's because it's home to the Valley Ford Creamery, which is a beautiful cheese production facility. They also have a lovely cafe there. It's a nice place to spend a Sunday morning. They have a Stero Cafe, which is owned by a local family that there's 3 locations. 2 are called Americana, one's in Sebastopol, the other's in Santa Rosa, and Estero Cafe is their 3rd location. So that restaurant is very good and a nice place to land for breakfast or lunch. Rocker Oyster Fellers is also a cool destination for more seafood and more of the sort of bounty of the Sonoma Coast. And it's just sort of a fun old roadhouse that's now this really cool restaurant. Also is Danucci's, which is an old school Italian restaurant with a full bar that has a very sort of historical vibe. It's a really fun place to go, especially in the summer. You can sit outside and they just have classic Italian dishes and it's fun for the whole family. Because it's close to these other 2 towns, the climate is also much more coastal. You're gonna get more wind in Valley Ford than in Occidental, just like in Bodega or in Freestone. You're also going to have more open ranch land. I mean, this is the sort of dairy capital of this region. It's sort of adjacent to Petaluma, which we know the Petaluma grasslands and up into this area of Sonoma County, all of that is sort of real dairy farm country. So hopefully now you understand why at the beginning of this video I said if you just search for Sebastopol, you're gonna end up with a lot of real estate listings and they're not necessarily gonna be pertinent to your search or the lifestyle that you want. Which is why when I work with buyers, I try to really focus on lifestyle and budget and combine the two to figure out where in this region you should land. And so I hope you'll join me on this journey. I hope you'll subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you get notified whenever we drop a video, because I'll be dropping videos every week about life and real estate here in Sonoma County. I also would like to invite you to book a call with me. If you're interested in purchasing in this part of the world, I'd be glad to be your guide. I'm Stephanie Johnson. I really hope this video on the hidden gems and special little townships of Western Sonoma County and the Sebastopol region was helpful to you. And I'm really hopeful you'll stick with us and learn all you can before you make your decision to move to this part of the world. Bye for now.